It's now 6 p.m. Adam, will you take roll call? Wait, that's loud.
Thank you, Chair. Bartolo Square North, Nate Castillo. Bartolo Square South, Justin Richards. Here. Blackstock North, Nancy Rand. Blackstock South, Christopher Bissonette. Here. Bryce Canyon North, John Hike. Here. Cabrillo, Doug Bartello. Cal Giesler, Elizabeth Garcia. Carriage Square, Len Schulman. Here. Channel Islands, Dave Copper. College Estates, John Beck. Diamond Bar, Dennis Ralph. East Village, Ronald Adejo. El Rio West, Dan Ryberg. 5 Points Northeast, Pat Brown. Here. Fremont North, Dave Ebbett. Here. Fremont South, Kim Winch.
Here.
Hobson Park East, Jack Villa. Here. Hobson Park West, Cecilia Ravello. Hollywood by the Sea, Michelle Carrillo. Kamala Park, Bill Winter. La Colonia, Ramon Lopez. Lemonwood Eastmont, Joe Avalar. Marina West, Pat Haydett. Orchard Park, Diana Velzy. Oxnard Dunes, Lisa Hewitt. Oxnard Shores, Walt Hagedum. Pleasant Valley Estates, Rosanna Biggerstaff. Redwood, Carlos Quiros. Rio Lindo, Tim Gingras. River Park, Paul Shenblin. Rose Park, Alfonso Arroyo. Sea Air, Edward Castillo. Seaview Estates, Isaac Califf. Sierra Linda, Sergio Garcia. South Bank, Debbie Aravello. Southwind, Sofia Vega.
Here.
Tierra Vista, Christina Thomas. Via Marina, Doug Tauber. Here. Wagon Wheel, Amanda Muir. She's here. There she is. West Village, Michael Gleason is here. Wilson, Angela Whitecomb. And Windsor North, Andres Sanchez. Chair, we have quorum.
Okay, and Rainey of Cabrillo says she's going to be late. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight. We'll go to item B, Pledge of Allegiance. Please, everybody stand and
Lisa and Roseanne.
okay, will everybody take a look at the minutes from October 4th and read through them and make a motion to approve or disapprove?
I'd like to make a motion to approve, please.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Okay. Okay. So we have a motion by Chris and a second by Amanda. Anybody, I'm sorry, let's take a vote to approve the minutes as is. Anybody who's approved, let's say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. Minutes of October 4th, 2023 is approved. Okay. So now we'll open the floor up to public comments. Here, and sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. No wonder I'm confused. At this time, a person may address the INCO on matters within a subject matter's jurisdiction of INCO. The INCO cannot enter into a detailed discussion or take any action on any items presented during public comments at this time. Such items may only be referred to the Executive Secretary for administrative action or scheduled on a subsequent agenda for discussion. Public comments on items on the agenda will be considered at the time of the consideration of the agenda item. So do we have anybody we have somebody right there? Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Ray Blattell, and I live in Landscape Maintenance District number 28. It has come to my attention that the city has erroneously charged my district nearly $3,000 for sidewalk grinding in areas not specifically identified in the fiscal year 21-22 Consolidated Engineers Report. This grinding was done in June of 2022 as identified by information obtained from the city via a public records access inquiry. Now, compared to all other expenditures by the city and our LMD, this is not a lot of money. However, I am challenging the city to return this money to LMD number 28 where it belongs. The money belongs to my LMD, and I intend to get it back. Now, why am I going to bother you with this? Because I've also learned that the city has charged 17 other landscape maintenance districts nearly $45,000 for sidewalk grinding. Now, based on what I've learned about my district, there is a high probability that some or all of this $45,000 could also be erroneous charges. I have the data and charges for each of the 17 other districts, which I am willing to share with any other interested landscape districts' communities. All you have to do is petition the city via a public records access process to obtain the exact street locations where the grinding was executed. Then you need to compare these locations with the hardscape diagrams in the engineer's report relative to your specific landscape district. If you discover erroneous charges, then you can also petition the city to return those amounts if you wish. I'm going to remain after this meeting if anyone wants to discuss this further or to see if your landscape district is on this list of charges. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to make a public comment? Nope, nobody online. Okay, let's move on then. New business. Update on bicycle and pedestrian improvements, including the 4th Street Mobility Improvements Project. Recommendations that the INCO general membership receives a report on the city's bicycle and pedestrian improvements, including the 4th Street Mobility Improvements Project. Oh, okay, what did I miss? Are we going to invite you guys? Please click in the,
Chair, if I may?
yeah, go
So
ahead.
there was a presentation recorded for tonight's meeting, but due
Yeah.
to Measure M,
yeah.
it was placed online. So I would recommend that if there's any questions from the public or the general membership, that those questions be offered now. We have staff from Public Works here in attendance.
Okay, well, yeah, who's representing on that? Okay, that's what,
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions.
yeah.
Several.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah. So, will you be answering all the questions or?
Depends on what the questions are.
Okay. The video talked about goals, or didn't talk about goals. Now, what are the city's goals as far as implementing this plan and comparing the past accidents and incidences to the future going forward? Is there a goal in place for this plan?
Good evening. My name is Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works. We have quite a few documents that actually establish goals. We have our local safety roadway plan, local roadway safety plan that was taken to the council earlier this year. That's mentioned in the presentation. We also have our CIP budget book that's been approved by City Council that establishes the projects that are priorities to the council. So we have lots of goals that are already established, and some of that information was included in the presentation.
Yeah, I watched the presentation and it talked a lot of numbers, national numbers, but they didn't get into the specifics as far as Oxnard's numbers, like how many accidents in Oxnard year by year or what have you. It was mostly national numbers. I don't know if you know the numbers off the top of your head, but in the future going forward, how are those numbers going to improve with this plan here? Or do you expect, or is there, like I said, is there a goal that you're trying to achieve?
So the numbers are actually in the LRSP. So if you've read through the LRSP, those traffic collision numbers are in there. The chief of police gave a presentation at the city council, I want to say about a month and a half or 2 months ago. He gave those statistics, so I don't know off the top of my head. But those statistics have been read into the record as recent as a couple of months ago. So if you're interested in the actual details of that, I would go back and watch that presentation. Like I said, the LRSP provides some statistical analysis of the types of collisions that we have, pedestrian and bicycle, and what their primary collision factors are. And so that information is actually inside the LRSP.
So there are available numbers as far as numbers we want to reach for the going forward.
No, you had indicated, your question was, what were the numbers of Oxnard?
Right.
And so that answer is either in the chief's presentation or the LRSP. Then your question was about goals of reducing that. So goals to reduce that are also in the LRSP. We don't say we're going to go from 10 to 5. That's not something that we set right now, if that's your question.
Yeah, yes, that was my question. Okay.
We don't set those kinds of goals. What we're setting is a framework to address pedestrian and bicycle safety throughout the city.
Okay, right, all right. So there are no numbers that the city's going to try to reach, from what I understand. Now, I wanted to talk about the cameras. There was no mention of the cameras in intersections. We have several cameras that are inoperable. Now, what are the plans going forward to either use those cameras or increase or decrease or what have you? What's the plan to use those traffic cameras?
So those traffic cameras currently are not in operation. There's legal issues associated with that. That would probably be a city attorney's office question. So right now there's no capital project that's going to reestablish the use of those cameras. So the request, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. The request was to provide updates on pedestrian and
Right.
bicycle improvements. So the cameras are an enforcement issue, not an engineering issue. So that question would be best posed to the police chief in terms of how it can be and should be used for enforcement.
So the cameras are not part of traffic? Are you saying as far as safety in the streets of Oxnard?
So cameras are an enforcement item. So in standing in front of you is the person responsible for the engineering items. So when you ask questions about enforcement, I don't want to speak for the chief of police. I can speak about the engineering efforts that are associated with traffic calming, but that would be an enforcement effort.
Okay, well, I guess this next question was the policing of bike riders. Now, often I'm going through the city of Oxnard and there's several bike riders going the wrong direction and ignoring traffic signals, crossing streets where there's no crosswalks, and just items like that. And so I'm kind of puzzled to where the police department, you're not part of the police department, but in figuring out this plan, I would think you would have policing involved on some of the issues that you have in this plan.
Sure, maybe I'll repeat myself again a couple times here. So the LRSP,
Right.
if you haven't read through that, my suggestion is to read through that. There's a very detailed discussion about the police involvement in putting together the LRSP. And inside the LRSP are several recommendations in terms of how to reduce certain types of collisions. So PD is heavily involved in putting together the LRSP. Again, the request for tonight was to give a pedestrian and bicycle improvement update, which is what's in front of you.
Okay, so let's stick to pedestrian and bicycles then. Is there a number that we know of pedestrians and bicycles that have been that there's been accidents. I just know of one pedestrian that's been hit, but I know there's more than one. And so do you have a number when you develop this plan that, hey, we have this many people getting on bicycles and pedestrians getting hit? You know, we have to do something. And there's no numbers involved in as far as devising the plan?
Okay, let me see if I can restate what I've already answered the question. So, yes, there are numbers. PD actually keeps track of pedestrian collisions and bike collisions. So there are numbers. The chief of police gave those numbers in a presentation to the city council. The police department was heavily involved in putting together the LRSP and identifying different mitigation measures for different types of collisions. So yes, there are numbers. If you're asking for the specific amount of pedestrian collisions and bicycle collisions, I don't have that off the top of my head. That would be a question for the police.
Okay, well, I guess we better get the police in here then, huh? Now, the video talked about grant monies, being able to afford this. Now, how much is planned to use out of the general fund to finance all these improvements and this plan?
So if you actually go through the presentation, all the projects that are actually funded are listed in the presentation. I would suggest going back and looking at the different pages. Start on presentation page 14. And then when you take a look at that, you can look in our CIP book, and in our CIP book, it talks about all the funding sources that are available for each one of those projects. So if the question is how much general fund is being used and how much developer impact fee or how much grants are being used, that's all actually listed in our capital improvement budget that's approved by City Council.
What I was kind of interested in is when there's a safety issue as far as pedestrian or bicycles, does the city say, okay, we have a problem here, let's have a plan? Do we wait for a grant money, or do we, okay, let's get into the bank account, general fund, and pay for this because it's needed? Where are we on this?
Let me count all the capital projects. So I think we list 10 capital projects that are either recently constructed or active that have funding that the council has approved. The LRSP actually is an opportunity for us to develop future projects to go seek grant funding. That's actually one of the key components of the LRSP, is to develop certain improvements or areas that could benefit from certain types of improvements, and then we can go after grants for that. So the council obviously approves the capital budget, and they have approved, again, I think it's roughly around 10 projects that are specific to pedestrian and bicycle improvements.
Of those 10 projects, are they being funded by general fund or just grant money?
If you want to, I can go through them all.
Well, I just want a number. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, again, it's in the measure and video that I understand that you have seen. So the Ramona preschool pedestrian crossing enhancements have $391,000 of capital outlay, which is general fund. These are all circulation elements, but federal transportation, multi-layer grants, transportation grants, that's air pollution, so I don't see any general fund money there. More grants, this is a $3 million grant for the citywide intersection improvements, another grant for $4 million. So I don't see anything that's currently in the city council approved CIP other than the first one I read, which was.
okay. Okay, let me go back. So as far as the budget going forward, how much is allotted to the safety of streets and bicycles on the streets of Oxnard? Is there a number that we're, for the general fund budget?
No, there's not a number for general fund budget that says this is specific for this one activity. So if I can put our improvements in sort of two categories. So we do capital improvements. So everything that's a capital improvement is in our capital improvement budget book that's approved by council. And there you can see all the different funding sources that are approved by council for pedestrian and bicycle improvements. We also do routine maintenance. Every day we're out there doing routine maintenance or operations that may have some component of pedestrian safety, whether that's changing out the type of crosswalk that we've installed, or putting in flashing beacons, or changing the signal timing to have a pedestrian lead. So all of those things are actually pedestrian safety activities that we do on a day-to-day basis, but our budget's not broken out into painting crosswalk. It's for painting of all striping on the city streets. It's not broken out into changing a signal timing for pedestrians. It's signal timing maintenance. So if you're asking for a specific number, I would say we don't have that. We don't track it that way. But each of our activities that we do, specifically when it comes to those types of activities, which is striping, signage, signal timing, all of those can have a level of improvement for pedestrian and bicycles. And then the 10-ish, I think there's 10 projects that we listed in the CIP have some specific pedestrian and bicycle improvements, and the dollar amounts are actually listed in the presentation.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Is there any more questions out on the floor? Okay, Chris? Let John go first.
John Hyde, Bryce Canyon North. I came here on a bicycle, so I'm aware of these things. A lot of Oxnard, as we all know, was developed prior to 1966. It's all car-centric. It's based upon the suburban standard of whatever it was back then. And we have the SOAR initiative, so we're limited as to development. We've got to grow up instead of out, unless we're going to pave over farmland, which we might regret later with like the stuff that's going on. Anyway, you can tell from my shirt that I'm wearing a high visibility thing. I have lights on the bicycle, and I have seen juveniles in my time on the street, especially at dark, riding in groups, not single file. I saw one guy who was going south on C Street. He went through the intersection on C and Woolley at a red light and crossed in front, going southbound, he crossed into the northbound lanes. And that's just an accident waiting to happen. Now, I saw on the video that there's some initiatives going on with the schools. And if that involves education as to how to ride a bicycle safely, don't wear dark clothing at night. Lights are mandated on bicycles, actually. Helmets for juveniles are mandated. Reflectors are good, always good. I mean, reflective clothing is good too. These are all things that can be done. And it would help safety standards. And of course, the engineering part is going to be a real challenge because of what we already have. One of the things that I've seen in my neighborhood is Channel Islands. Now, Port Hueneme has a really good bike path on Channel Islands Boulevard, but at Ventura Road, that ends abruptly. And if anybody's riding a bicycle on Channel Islands at Oxnard, that's a suicide run. And in the past couple of years, there have been two fatalities that I'm aware of. And sometimes I see people on that street riding that, and I wonder, okay, why are they doing this? Is this going to increase our life insurance premiums in this town? But anyway, I was thinking, now, if you go, I'm not going to advertise for Google Maps, but for instance, you can use these things here, and you can go on Google Maps. Now, how can I get from point A to point B? And you can choose car, you can choose transit, you can choose walking, and you can choose bicycle, and it gives you suggested routes. So I'm wondering if there's some way the city can partner with Google and other navigational resources, perhaps, to not just do suggested routes, but do routes that you shouldn't take, like line Channel Islands in a red line and go, don't do this. or don't do Ventura Road or some of these other places.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on the floor right now that has any questions? Okay, oh, Chris, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Evening, Chris Bissonette, Blackstock South. The one question you're talking about was pedestrian and bike safety. There's quite a few streets out there that do not have proper lighting. For instance, on Channel Islands and Rose, they put in this nice green area for the bikes, but at night you can't see it. And so those are some of the things that need to be looked at. Bard is getting renovated as well. Very few streetlights in that area. And if you're talking pedestrians as well as bikes, that's got to be part of that safety program. The other thing is there's a lot of, not in the main streets, but in the neighborhood, that there's a lot of stop signs that are not there that should be. And I know there's a cost involved in a maintenance in there, but you know, when you're asking for a stop sign in a particular area because the residents or people driving down one road squeal to get around the corner because they don't stop because there's no stop sign, and as another car is coming down the other way, those are issues. So it's not just the pedestrians and the bikes you got to worry about. It's the overview of all of it, to include the operators of the vehicles. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Chair, if I maybe just add a couple points, because I think there's some interesting thoughts there. When you look at our LRSP, you'll see that there's identification of lighting as one of a good countermeasure in certain situations. So that's obviously a known recommendation. There's no minimum requirement for lighting on our roadways, but to your point, a lot of our improvement projects actually have additional lighting. The other thing that I'll mention, I think you said, well, there's no stop signs. I think I want to make sure it's clear. It's not that the stop sign is missing. It's that you suggest that the stop sign should be there. I will say that there is a rigorous process called a warrant analysis before we can put in a stop control. So we just can't put stop signs anywhere. It actually has to be warranted through what's called the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And if you look at the literature, if you can go to actually several sites, but FHWA, which is the Federal Highways Administration, has a lot of good literature. Stop signs are not a speed control function. And if you put stop signs in the wrong spot, if they're not warranted, then the actual incidents and collisions actually go up. So we can be very careful about saying stop signs aren't there with the understanding that they have to be warranted before we actually install them.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah, I
Jeff.
just have one more question. Did we, in this plan, did we also include the city of Hueneme and unincorporated areas in the city of Oxnard?
Are you referring to the LRSP or this presentation?
LSRP, is that part of the plan? And
So the easy answer is no. We obviously concentrated on City of Oxnard proper, but to the extent, I'll give you an example. In our presentation, we talk about safe routes to school. And so safe routes to school, obviously, the schools that are in Oxnard draw from different cities. They draw from Hueneme. So to the extent that we are providing some services to the residents of Hueneme, it's done through that process by which the kids may be attending, the school on Bard that may live in Port Hueneme, right? To the extent that kids are going to Hueneme High School or EO Green that come from Port Hueneme, they're getting access to our Safe Routes to School program. So there are some. We don't obviously try to define a line because safety should be everywhere, right? But we have to be careful about using funding, especially grant funding, outside of our jurisdiction.
Go ahead.
About 15 years ago, I had a neighbor who was elderly, but he had a bicycle and he wanted to find a map of where the bicycles could go in the city safely and legally. And so he asked me if you can ever find a map of the city of Oxnard with the bicycle routes in it. He said, please let me know. Well, he ended up dying of natural causes about 12, 14 years ago, so that was out of it. But I am going to suggest what he suggested to me, is to take a city map and mark it out as to where the bicycle streets are. And he said he would not ride up and down Oxnard Boulevard because he knew that was just too dangerous. So he preferred to stay on all the side streets whenever possible, instead of on the main streets where there was a lot more traffic. Just what he said. I've never been on a bicycle. I grew up with horses, and we had no place to ride a bicycle because we didn't have any sidewalks or anything. It was way out in the boonies. So I never rode a bicycle, but that's what he suggested, and maybe now it could happen. I don't know.
Thank you, Pat. Go ahead.
If you want, if you visit the Ventura County Transportation Commission, VCTC's website, there's a bicycle map on that website.
Okay. I have a couple questions. Well, maybe just one, I don't know. One of the reasons why I wanted, well, a couple reasons, but the one of the reasons is to know where you guys were at on the plan. If I remember correctly, the 2012 plan had like 94 priorities. And they itemized them out 1 through 94. I think that's the number. I may be wrong. But I was kind of curious as to where we're at on that plan. Has some of the priorities changed? Have you had to move them around from the way they've been listed? Are we halfway done, a quarter of the way done? How much more time do you think we're going to need to finish it?
I'm assuming you're referring to the bicycle master plan.
Bicycle pedestrian master planning.
Yeah, so as you stated, relatively old document, right?
It is.
2012. To the extent, I can't speak obviously for the years that I weren't here, so I can only speak for the last 2 years. To the extent that those projects are completed, obviously they come off the list. I'm not aware of any reprioritization of that list. However, I will say that one of our future goals is to update that master plan, and it needs to be updated. Things changed.
Yeah.
Engineering elements. We have actually new bike classifications now that weren't around 13 or 11 years ago. And so to the extent that your question is about have we changed the priorities of that old plan, the answer to that is no. But my opinion is that we should be looking forward and updating that plan because our LRSP is now available. There are new standards, there are new innovations, there are new things that should be looked at and included in a bicycle master plan. And then once we have an updated bicycle master plan, and then that needs to be rolled into, and back to Mr. Villa's question, rolled into the capital improvement program and then funded. Mm-hmm. And so to the extent that right now, council's established their priorities, and that's been approved. And part of that is street maintenance. And so when we do our maintenance cycle, we try to address some of the bicycle improvements when we do painted bike lanes or signs. But I would say that to answer your question about what percentage are we done, I don't know, because that's an old plan.
Right, and I thought maybe there would have been some updates since then, but you're right.
It needs to be updated.
Yeah. So I know that there's a couple Class 3 boulevards that are ready. I'm excited to see some of those go in. I don't know I think a couple of them already have, but I don't know which ones were, but that's it for my comments. Is there anybody else? Oh, we got one over there. She's a-coming.
I think this might be just a money issue, but I'm sorry I didn't get to finish watching the presentation. I'll just own up to it. But one thing that came across when I was looking at bicycle safety was where A city had, right now, when you go through Oxnard, we have wide roads and we have the bike lane, the car, the parkway or sidewalk, right? That's pretty standard. But what they had done in this other area was they'd have the road, a curb, no, the road, the parking, a little curb, the bike, and then the sidewalk or parkway. We have such wide roads. Is the city considering doing this anywhere that it would be easier? Because it seems to be a little bit less expensive and a way more safe way to do it, because you still have to worry about car doors opening, but there's less people getting out of the passenger side than there is usually out of the driver's side. You're always guaranteed to have a driver. So that's my question.
So it's an actually really good question, because it kind of dovetails in the last conversation we were having, what would be the new things that have come out in the last 10 or 11 years. What the speaker was talking about was barrier-separated bike lanes, sometimes referred to as Class 4 bike lanes. We actually, our 4th Street Mobility Project will have a Class 4 bike lane. So yes, that is one of the potential solutions that we have to try to do different bicycle safety features. And obviously, it's twofold, and I think the speaker mentioned one of them. It's a funding issue. I will also say, while we have some wide roads, there's a lot of space that's needed for those, and to the extent that they actually fit is a little difficult, because you have certain requirements in terms of spacing. The minimum spacing you have to meet in terms of design standards. And so to the extent that they will fit and to the extent that they make sense, yes, they should be used. And actually the 4th Street Mobility Project has a Class 4 bike lane being proposed.
Okay. Is there anybody online that would like to ask questions? No? Okay. How about, no other questions? I'm sorry, what? Oh, yeah, I guess we do. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions.
All right. All right. Okay, subject, in item 2 under new business, environmental resources and recycling, that the INCO general membership receive a verbal report on recycling from staff from city's environmental resources.
Good evening. Brian Yan is Assistant Public Works Director. Nice to see you all today. First, I'm excited that my staff is here to talk a little bit of trash, and a lot of recycling. But there's a couple introductions I'd like to do. One, we have a new environmental resources manager who started this summer, Eric Zetz. So he's new to our Public Works division, and we're glad to have him. I also have the people that are going to do most of the talking, and not me, that are my recycling team. I have the recycling manager, Robert Serato, and Sarah Ahern is our outreach specialist, yes. And they're going to do most of the talking and be able to answer a lot of questions. But you asked us to come and talk about how you guys and neighborhoods can help with our recycling, trash, pickup, collections, whatever it is. And they're the experts. They have a lot of information on a lot of the new unfunded state mandates that have been passed along to municipalities, where we have to meet certain regulations on new organics or food waste, recycling, mandatory recycling, and many other mandates that they can talk about. But thank you for the opportunity, and we will get started here.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, so I'm Robert Serrato. I'm the recycling manager, as Brian said, and we're just going to talk a little bit about what the Environmental Resources Division, or ER as we call it, what we do for the city. So we're responsible for collecting and recycling all the solid waste for the city of Oxnard, and we also receive waste from the city of Port Hueneme and some other areas outside of the city. We're responsible for making sure it gets disposed of in an efficient and safe manner that protects the environment and protects the health and safety of our residents. In the fiscal year 2022-2023, we disposed of over 300,000 tons of trash. We recycled 13,000 tons of non-organic material, and we recycled 14,000 tons of organic waste. We provide services to around 50,000 commercial and residential accounts throughout the city, and we're open 6 days a week providing these services. Our services include collecting waste, sorting it, processing it, and sending it off for disposal. One of the most common questions we get is about recycling. So a lot of people know that you're supposed to recycle, but the most common question we get is what should we be recycling? So the most common recyclable materials would be plastic bottles and containers, glass bottles, aluminum cans, and dry paper and cardboard. It's important we try to pay attention to what we throw in the recycle container. We have strict contamination limits that we have to meet for each material type. Otherwise, we can't send the material off for recycling. So we have sorters at our facility at Del Norte, and they go through the waste we receive by hand, and they pull out the material that we can recycle. They remove contaminants, and would just help all of us out if when residents throw stuff away, they pay attention to where they're throwing stuff. So I think a lot of people are familiar with recycling of non-organic materials, but now the state requires that we recycle organic waste. And Sarah's gonna talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when you think about recycling now, you also have to take into consideration organic waste also. When organic waste is diverted from the landfill, it is turned into either a renewable energy, compost or mulch, or animal feed, and so therefore it is recycled. It just depends on how it gets processed. So no matter what it's turned into, it's being recycled. So when you see what the state says recycling, they're now including organics as well. So organics includes, oh, I'm so sorry. So organic includes food scraps, bones, shells, food soiled paper, anything that's 100% fiber-based, such as cardboard, and yard waste as well. So how did we get here is probably a good question to ask as Californians. So a California state started a study in 2008 that was looking at the methane gas pollution that is going into our atmosphere. And what it found was about 1/3 of the methane gas was emanating from the landfill. So in the landfill, about 50% of what we as Californians throw in there is organic material. And that methane gas is then released, which is 84% more potent than carbon dioxide. And so therefore the state of California decided to make the most aggressive pollutant law in 30 years. That law is called Senate Bill 1383, also known as SB 1383. So SB 1383 took effect January 1st of 2022, and it very literally impacts everybody who lives in California. It's taken old recycling requirements and now added on to the organics as well. So what does that mean for all of us? It means that we have to dispose of our waste differently, exactly what Robert was just saying. The waste streams where we put it in has changed a little bit, and we need all of our residents' help in order to meet the state's goals. So before, all of organic food scrap waste would go into the trash, but now we're asking you to go ahead and put that waste into your green container. So the yard waste will still go in loose. Any food scraps, bones, shells, all of that needs to go into a plastic bag. The reason for that is when it comes to our material recovery facility, the waste is actually separated from each other. So although it's all organic, it is going to 2 separate places once it leaves our facility. So very literally, once a truck dumps the load onto the floor, all of the food bags and food scraps are picked out by hand. And then it goes on to a conveyor belt where the rest of the contamination material that's in there will get pulled out and be diverted if possible. So a CalGreen requirement is that green waste needs to be at under 1% contamination for processing. So it's very important that residents know that we need these items in a bag because we are pulling them out by hand. It can get a little bit confusing because as jurisdictions, the state has allowed us to divert waste in several different ways, and that really depends on what facility it's getting sent to. So Athens and EJ Harrison have a little bit different of a message, but we're all doing the same thing. It's all going into the organics cart and it's all being diverted. So Robert's going to tell you a little bit more about what else ER does besides just try to educate people about organic recycling.
So there's a lot of things residents could actually do to help us out to be more efficient, and just one of the easiest things is to have your cart out ready for collection before 5:30 in the morning on the day of collection. It would help us avoid having to come back for any missed pickups. You could also place your cart 3 feet apart from one another or 5 feet apart from any objects like cars or mailboxes. It makes it easier for our drivers to pick up the cans, and that way they don't leave one behind. You can keep your lids closed. It prevents litter from being blown out or being carried out by animals. You can also avoid overfilling your container. Overfilled containers, sometimes the trucks can't pick them up. They have to leave the container behind. We also see a lot of people just throwing boxes away without flattening them. It just creates a lot of empty airspace. It prevents you from closing the lid. It causes stuff to fly out. So just flatten your boxes, break up larger items so that you're able to close your lid. And just like we said already about contamination, just to help us avoid contaminating the waste stream, it's important everybody throws waste in the container it's supposed to go into. You could check out our website. There's a lot of information on there about where everything goes. And we also brought some flyers up here that we can provide to anybody who's interested in. And then we also just want to make you aware of a lot of the other stuff that ER does for the city that residents might not be aware of. So we actually have neighborhood bulky item collection days. We have one per neighborhood every year. The next one is going to be this Saturday, Bryce Canyon. There's information on that on our website. You can also look up when it'll be for your neighborhood. We are going to have a citywide collection event on November 18th at Del Norte, where residents are free to bring large items that they're not able to throw away in their trash. So furniture, mattresses, just big things that you want to get rid of, you're free to bring them down. We also accept household hazardous waste for free at Del Norte. We accept antifreeze, batteries, used motor oil, latex paint, and any material that we don't accept there, you're free to bring to Clean Harbors facility. You do need an appointment to take it to them. They have events the second Friday and Saturday of every month. You can check out our website for the phone number or to make an appointment through the website. At Del Norte, we do also accept electronic waste for free. So residential waste like televisions, monitors, computers, anything like that, you can bring it down. We'll take that for free. We have a CRV buyback center, so plastic and glass bottles, aluminum cans, you can bring them down to us and get some money for those. And then through the state, we offer free mattress and carpet recycling. So a lot of people aren't aware of that. You're free to bring dry mattresses and box springs and dry rolls of carpet, and we'll take them for free and recycle them. We also offer a 311 app you can get on your phone. So if you guys see illegal dumping out in the street, just use the app, take a picture, mark where you saw it, and we'll come out and pick it up for free. You can check out our website for a what goes where wizard. You can ask it what trash type you have, and it'll tell you what can to put it in or where to take it for disposal. We also have a service calendar on there, so if you're curious about a holiday, you can see when we'll come out to your house to service. And we offer a couple items for free to residents. We have countertop pails. If you want to collect organic waste in your kitchen, you can come down and get one of those for free. We offer used oil kits, so residents who change their oil can come down and grab one and then bring the oil back for recycling. We offer compost bins at a discount. It's $30 for residents, so you can make your own compost at home. And we're going to be offering Christmas tree recycling again for the holidays. We don't have the details yet, but there should be a December bill insert where you can look for more information on that. That's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions for us.
Is there anybody on the floor that has questions? Kim Winch.
I do. Kim Winch from Fremont South. That was excellent. That was really well done, well spoken. Thank you very much. I have two questions. The first one is the recycling things that happen like at CVS and Vons. They say bring it all here. You see people come and bring it, and then the next day it's all sitting there in a pile. That's not you guys, is it?
No, that's not us. We don't do anything outside of our own contracts. And so if people want to hold events within the city, they have the right to do that if they're going to be on someone else's property to check with them. But we don't participate in that.
You're referring to the electronic waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not involved in
That's
that.
what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Second one is your peanut butter jar. Am I supposed to wash that out before I put it in the recycling, or can I
Yes, please.
leave it?
No, please rinse it out and then shake it dry and then throw it into your recycling.
Okay, and that goes into the regular recycling, not into the
Yes,
food one.
correct.
Thank you.
Angela?
This is a really silly short question, but you get a glass jar and a metal lid. The lid goes in the recycling too, right?
Yes, you can go ahead and put it all in there. The processing facilities that they get sent to, that gets separated over there. So you can go ahead and leave those together. That'll get taken care of for you down the road.
And the cat food top things that are sharp as heck.
Honestly, that would probably be best into your trash. Because of the fact that it's so small to go through our conveyor belts, it's very hard to pull out something like that. Although if you do put it in your recycling, that's acceptable as well.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, just a brief comment, not a question. Bryce County North neighborhoods, this Saturday at Carty Park, you're all invited. And then what do we do with our marijuana waste? No, I'm kidding.
Burn it
Okay, Ron?
slowly.
Hi, comment to Ron Arwejo, East Village. I just want to volunteer, if Sarah doesn't mind. She did at one of our smaller meetings a very good presentation that us few neighbors who were there, we told the other neighbors later in the summer. So she was a really good wealth of information, and ditto in regards to the great presentation. I believe that she had goodies last time, good pamphlets of information that we also shared with ours. So please book her for your next meeting. So honestly, we're probably going to get her again next year. So that's an advance notice. Thank you.
Carlos Quiroz, Redwood. This might be for the gentleman that just got promoted or hired. Are we still gonna have yearly neighborhood cleanups like we've been having, or is there gonna have any changes later on?
To answer your question is no. Obviously, a year and a half ago after COVID, we stopped doing the neighborhood, well, during COVID, we stopped doing the neighborhood cleanups. After COVID, we took a different approach and did some regions. I think all of you remember that. Jack and Diane over there. We did try it. The neighborhood councils chairs, they were very vocal that they really enjoyed their neighborhood cleanups. They did go to council. Council then redirected staff to bring these back. We worked with Jack and Diane and staff, and we created a calendar for these neighborhood events, and they're being calendared every fiscal year now. So
So
I
no
don't see them
change.
disappear. I don't see them disappearing at any time soon.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Got 3 comments for you. One is for the neighborhood cleanup. You renamed it where it's bulky items. That confused a lot of people in the neighborhoods, and I'd like to recommend to put it as neighborhood cleanup / bulky items, so that way it gets those individuals in there. Because we were handing out flyers, and it's like, I don't have nothing bulky, I got all this stuff over here. So please take that for consideration. Our biggest issue probably isn't the homes, but the apartments. How do you go about putting extra trash cans into a narrow alley to take care of those 3 items?
So as of right now, our organics food collection containers for multifamily property, it's a 64-gallon cart. So it's similar to what you see on residential curbside. It's a little bit smaller. Some residents have it. And so then that can fit right next to enclosure. I think when it comes down to anybody, it's really about outreach and letting people know what goes where, and then being able to provide that service in a nearby area. So that way they see the organic cart, the trash cart, and the recycling cart, and then they can make an informed decision with the materials they've been given. But it is very challenging, and there is a lot of turnover within the apartments themselves. We've been working closely with property management teams to really try to find the best practices for that. And what we can really do is provide the supportive outreach to let them know that this is where your material goes now. You know, it's something new. The organics law, it's something new. It's never been done before. And so that's something that takes time, and it's a process. So the multifamily has been our most challenging, but we're confident that we can continue to do outreach and get them closer to where the state would like everybody to be.
Perfect, thanks.
Jay?
Yes, you talked about the compost bins
Yes.
being available. What's the size, or do you have different sizes?
So it's one size. I do not have the dimensions off of the top of my head, but if you would like to send an email to recycle@Oxnard, we can get you a picture in those dimensions. I apologize, I don't have that.
Thank you for the great presentation. Yes, I do want to say for those neighborhood chairs who have not had their bulky item known as the neighborhood cleanup event, they blew me away when we had ours last year, the last fiscal year. It was excellent, stellar organization, very little work as to how it used to be before COVID. So I was very amazed, and we're excited to have another one this upcoming year. And looking forward to being able to schedule one of you to be able to do our, in the area in South Winds, we do have a lot of family dwellings, and so we want to be able to provide that information to them. And so who would be the best contact to go for that?
If you would like to email recycle@Oxnard,
Okay.
that email address populates to Robert and myself. And so that's the easiest way. And then when we reply back, you'll have our contact information. Something that could be done at any time is that we have door hangers to let residents know what goes where, whether it's a multifamily, single-family residential, or commercial. And so that's something that I highly recommend to continue to promote that outreach. So with or without us giving a speech, we can always give you material to give out, and then happy to help you pass that out as well if need be.
Awesome, thank you.
Amanda has a question.
Hi, so Amanda Mayer with Wagon Wheel. A couple questions. One is I know that other cities who are larger, actually, I know you said that you offer compostable containers for $30. I know that some cities are giving it to their residents as part of, you get to recycle, you get your trash, and you get a compostable bin. One, is that something that
Amanda, can you repeat the last?
Sure, no problem. Sorry, my internet connection for some reason is unstable. The question is that something that Oxnard is looking at doing, since we will have our trash, our recycle, and our compostable, rather than charging residents? Because that could be a disincentive, for especially for some of our more disadvantaged parts of Oxnard. That's the first question. And then the second question, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, absolutely. Let me address this first one. I think that there might be a little bit of confusion. So what we're talking about as far as purchasing goes is there is large backyard compost bins. If you go and look at like on the website for like Lowe's or Home Depot, you'll see that they're $60. So what the city has done is we have purchased those ahead of time and we give them to residents at a discount. So those are $30. So that's something that you would mix to get some good clean dirt going for your garden. What I think you're referring to, the other cities have, is something that we have. We'll have Robert hold it up. So this is our countertop pail for kitchen scraps. And this is for free for all residents that want to come and pick it up. Either way, you would come to the Del Norte facility. It's located at 111 South Del Norte Boulevard. And if you go to the main office, those are available for you. All you have to do is request it, and the staff member will definitely hand that out to you.
And,
Okay, yeah.
you mentioned other cities handing it out to all residents, and Cal Recycle actually just had a study where they compared cities that gave one to every resident to those cities that didn't, and they found no increase in diversion, so people just weren't using it. So we have them for people who are interested in receiving them. They're free, like Sarah said. You're welcome to come down and get one. But what Cal Recycle found was if we just give one to everyone, a lot of people aren't going to use it, and it's kind of like a waste of taxpayers' money. So we have them for those people who want them.
No, thank you for that clarification. It's really helpful, especially to, I think, maybe getting the word out that the countertop ones are free from the city.
You froze again.
What was that? I'm sorry. I'm hearing background noise, and so I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. I think that getting the word out to those communities about the free countertop for organic compostable items would be helpful. Second is Wagon Wheel. We are very unique in a lot of our homes are either townhomes, and we have larger recycle / trash bins. I know in my particular house, we are in a condo, and so some of the bins are constantly being moved out because of the number of individuals. Is there something that the city's going to do? Because
Froze again.
we are charged those compared to as if somebody was just renting those out for a day. So is there something that the city's going to do, especially since Oxnard's going to be developing more high density housing when it comes to the pricing of those particular large items, or bins, I should say?
I'm so sorry, you cut out in the middle of what you said, and so I heard the first part of your question, and I heard the last part of the question, but I did not get any of the middle, so I'm not quite sure what to address.
Okay, sorry. I know my internet for some reason is having difficulty today, so I apologize. I guess the main part of the question is for individuals in large or high density housing, such as my neighborhood, the amount that we're charged for the large bins, is that something that the city's going to be addressing, since Oxnard is looking at developing more high density housing compared to the price as if somebody were just going to need one of like the larger trash or recycle bins for like a day or two? Is there something that the city's looking at doing?
Hi there, Eric Zetz, ER manager. So the answer to that is yes. The city is currently, the council has approved for us to go out and retain services of a contractor to assess the rates of the city for what it's paying for containers, both residential, commercial, and industrial. That study is ongoing right now and has been going on for several months, and so we hope to bring something to the committee very soon, as soon as this year, for information on rates. Yes.
Okay, because I can tell you right now that our HOA has, we not only pay for our master HOA, but individual HOAs as well. And I think this is just, again, something unique to Wagon Wheel is that because the city was charging so much, our residents can't throw their trash out on Fridays now because it was so much to have extra bins. It was, I want to say, over $3,000 just to have an extra bin. So that's just something that I hear from our residents and the individuals in our neighborhood and our HOA members, and specifically even people in our building, about how does that really correlate if it's something that, it's not like we have our individual trash bin. So would love to talk to you offline more about that, just because the rates, in my personal opinion, are a little high for something that, we don't have control over. We don't have the individual bins as other people do. We have the larger bins, and it seems that $3,000 a month or for each building is a little excessive.
Yeah, absolutely. We are assessing that right now. One of the comments I would make is that the city has not had a rate increase in a very long while, multiple years. And so a part of what the assessment is, and we are currently right now, I think, second to the bottom as far as rates goes for the community at large. So the city is in need of assessing its rates and is currently doing that. And then all of the communities with the various containers that they should and have and those kinds of things, we are looking at and hope to have information to bring back.
Okay, thank you. And I just as a, I think
Amanda.
a biggest, yeah, go ahead.
Amanda, we'll grab your information from Adam and be sure to give you a call and talk offline on some of your topics that you might want to address.
Yeah, thank you. I think a big concern for us, really, since our neighborhood is more high density housing, it's different than single family homes. And so I think our needs are different and the way just our neighborhood is developed. So happy to talk offline about this so I can address some of the individual issues of our neighborhood. But thank you so much for your presentation. And I will probably stop for a countertop compostable bin. I think we should all do that.
Great.
Paul.
All right, good evening. Paul Schnabelin, River Park. We've had the pleasure of having Eric and a couple of members of his staff here at our most recent neighborhood council meeting a couple of weeks back. And I just want to see if we've progressed any as far as determining a timeline for getting the green waste containers back, or whether or not our residents in that area should be requesting this.
Yeah, so good to see you again, Paul. I saw you in the back there. I didn't want to say hello as the meeting was going on. We are currently still looking into that. There are some HOA entanglements that we're trying to work through, but we hope to have a response to you soon. Thank you.
The countertop bucket that you have there, that's what we put our food in, and you put it in a plastic bag, and that's what goes in the green waste? Is that what that is?
Okay, I'll hold it up here so we can see it a little better. So there's actually instructions right here. So for the best practices, what you would do is you would open this one up, and then you would just put the bag inside of it, and then your food scraps would go here on your countertop, and then when you're ready, then you take the bag and then put that bag into your green cart.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you, I have not been doing that. That's a pain in the ass. But I will also say that your description of people standing by the conveyor belts and sorting through it is really gross, and I don't like that happening for people. So I'm going to do better. And my second question for you is, if I stopped there and picked up like 15 of those as an incentive for my neighbors to come to a meeting, is that possible? Because we all need the incentive.
If you would like to take them for a neighborhood council meeting, I would absolutely encourage you to reach out for that. I would love to get these out to our residents and have them know. And I think the more voices that are spreading the message, the better it is for all of us. And I also just want to invite anyone who does want to come to the Del Norte facility that we're happy to give you a look of where your trash goes. We've got a good looking glass window up on top, and we could kind of show you where everything goes.
Okay, and then you said you collected batteries. So if I had a neighborhood meeting, could I tell everybody to say, bring your batteries, and I will bring it to Del Norte? Is that cool too?
Absolutely, yeah. So you just want to make sure that it is during the business hours for that part of the facility. So different parts of the facility are different hours. So specifically for that, on Tuesday, through Saturday from 9 to 3. You
I can
go
play by
ahead
the
and
rules
drop those
when
off.
I need
Yeah.
to. Could do that. Thank you. And you said you had flyers out there?
Yes, there's flyers right here, so please feel free to grab them. And as well, these are on our website, and we're happy to print them out for you as well and hand them to you for any kind of neighborhood council meetings.
See the guys out there, right outside the doors. They'll certainly be happy to deal with.
And we collect batteries and light bulbs at our facility at the Norte. So if you wanted to collect anything like that, you could bring it. Like Sarah said, there are weight limits, so you just want to make sure you stay under the weight limit for transporting. But we'd be happy to take them.
So bring a scale to my meeting.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's actually a Caltrans limit. I think it's 125 pounds. They don't want you transporting anything more than that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I got a couple questions here too. What is the percentage of the things that are recyclable that actually don't get recyclable because we don't have accounts for them or people that will take the things that can be recycled?
Very good question. So we're somewhere dependent upon the stream, if it's a multifamily apartment complex versus a commercial collection versus a single-family residential. It generally 25 to 40%, depending upon the stream that you're talking to. The highest offenders of contamination are our multifamily developments.
Okay, so what I'm referring to though is like aluminum foil. We used to, we still do that, don't we? Don't we? Okay, but we don't have any takers that actually recycles it, correct? So it actually goes to the dump, doesn't it?
Right. It's really the commodity market for that foil at the end user, and yes, it right now currently would be in landfill.
Yeah. And what do you think the percentage of that is? I'm not just talking about aluminum foil, but as a whole.
I couldn't estimate or put a guess. I will say that the Del Norte facility is one of a handful of material recycling facilities that, when China Sword took effect in the 2000s, was one of the very few facilities in California to continue to do business. And this was when China rejected commodity recyclable loads of all of the United States, and especially in California. And Del Norte continued to send material bales to China for sale. So our sorting efforts that the staff does, and sorters are at every material recycling facility, it's not just Del Norte, do an extremely valuable job for us in pulling out those contaminated items and creating bales that we can then sell on a commodity market.
Okay, and go ahead.
Yeah, my question is about unused and old medications. The police department used to have a bin there available to dispose of old medications. Now, where do you suggest that we do with that?
Yeah, we don't take them at our facility, but like you said, hospital or certain pharmacies, I think Kaiser has a box in their lobby. They'll take them. Just look up whatever the nearest pharmacy is to where you live, and you can see on their website if they take it. Yeah, it's also listed on our website, some facilities.
Even medications for animals and needles and so on, all that stuff?
Sharps, they'll usually have a separate container for needles. They want them in a container and then put in a separate Sharps container. But animal medication, yeah, that would be fine to go with human medication.
All right.
Okay, and let's see. Now I lost my train of thought here. The food waste. I noticed that there are some bags that work better for me and stuff, but what type of bag to put the food waste in would you guys like to see would be the best thing to use?
The most important thing would probably be that it be clear, because we are pulling them out by hand. We look at them to see what's in it. So if somebody threw away a bag of just trash into the green waste, we wouldn't know what it is unless we opened it. But if it was a clear bag, we could see, yeah, it's just food. It's okay to send off for composting. So that's the most important thing, that it be clear. I know that some companies sell what they call compostable bags. It does not have to be that. The facility where we send our waste actually can't compost plastic. So even if you put it in a compostable bag, they're gonna pull the bag out and dispose of it in the landfill. So just any bag, but preferably a clear plastic bag.
Okay, and then I have a question for Brian, which I don't know, there's some changes made in your department, my understanding is, and yeah, I don't have the whole story, I just was trying to get a little bit more information. You have a new manager, and my understanding that new manager oversees so correct me if I'm wrong, but based on what I was told, is that new manager oversees the neighborhood cleanups, is that correct?
So in environmental resources, Rebecca, who really reaches out to all the neighborhood councils and the neighborhood chairs, just kind of shifted under a different manager, but is still there. So the manager that she went under was customer service manager.
Mm-hmm. But my understanding is that it is no longer paid under environmental resources. It's been shifted to the general fund. Is that correct?
So this fiscal year, 23-24, which we call our 311 crew, and which also assists with special pickups as well as our neighborhood cleanups, did shift over to the general fund. That is correct.
Is there like, what do you mind if you can expound on the reasoning behind that, Buzz?
A lot of the 311 crew is illegal dumping, and illegal dumping is not part of a rate or a rate study that goes through Prop 218. So that was more of a general fund because it is illegal dumping that is in the right of way of the public. It's not per se in someone's property, personal property or parcel. So that was the reason behind of moving.
But neighborhood cleanups, doesn't that fall under the state of California's, and I can't remember what the code is for that's being put under illegal dumping?
No, your neighborhood cleanups are still part of environmental resources.
But it's being funded through general refund, general.
The work that's being done there is still under environmental resources.
Oh, okay,
enterprise
because,
funds.
all right, that's where the information got misconstrued then. So it's still under environmental resources. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Is anybody else? Oh, we got a person over there.
Hi, Tim Gingras from Rio Lindo. In answer to Jack's question, I believe it's called Safe Harbor. You look it up on it. It's either Safe Harbor or Clean Harbor. I've used them 2 or 3 times. Insulin needles, used medication, all kinds of hazardous waste. They'll take it, you call them, make an appointment, and go down to your appointment, and they'll take it. It's off of Central. There's a little business district off on the ocean side. And I've used them 2 or 3 times. They work real good.
Yeah, and that is Clean Harbors, and that's one of the services that we pay for. And like he said, you just need to make an appointment, and you go down to their facility, and they will take your unused medication and sharps. An appointment is needed though, and you can do that through our website or by calling the number on the website.
Thank you.
For clarification purposes, so Rebecca would be still the contact person, or is there? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for a lovely presentation and all your input. Thank you very much. It's here somewhere. Okay, let's move on to item 3 under new business. Subject, INCO Executive Board election. That the INCO general membership elect the new executive board for 2024. We're going to go back to the way we used to do it, where we'll take one seat, we will vote for that seat, and then move on. We'll start with the chair and then work our way down to the fourth vice chair.
Yeah, Chair, if I may, for the voting chairs here, if you can write or circle your name on the ballot so we know who's voting for whom. So the first up is chair. We have 4 nominations. The fourth one came in during this meeting. So for chair, we have Diana Velzi, Ramon Lopez, Pat Brown, and then a fourth name came in. Amanda Meir from Wagon Wheel has also thrown her hat in the ring for chair. So please vote and give me your...
Well, before we do that,
Sorry,
is there
Chair.
anybody else that would like to throw their hat in the ring for the chair? Anybody? Okay, all right, so go ahead, Adam. Sorry about that.
I was going to ask Jack if he could come down here and be my second to tabulate the votes per the bylaws. Thank you, Jack.
And don't forget to circle your name so we know who voted. I know she has her hair pulled back. I didn't, who's that? Oh, I said, oh my gosh, it's Amanda. You hear me, Amanda?
I do hear you. Yes, my hair is pulled back. It's shorter and darker. I decided to go for a change. It's a winter look, ladies and gentlemen. A winter look.
You're on the big screen.
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry I could not be there in person. I really do deeply apologize, but I'm here. I'm still here. You're on mute, Diana, if you're talking to me. I can't hear anything. What's being said?
I didn't know I was on camera.
I can see you.
But like, but it's, yeah, but it's cute. All the same. Like, nobody else volunteered. You guys, nobody else volunteered. There's 4 slots and only 3 people. No, Amanda is the 4th one. Okay. She just put her name in. Good. I was like, really? Okay. And Amanda wants to be what? Amanda put her name in?
Well, technically, they're all putting their name in for chair, and then after chair.
That's correct. Amanda was added for chair.
We're doing
She's on
one
there.
chair, we're doing one chair at a time. First is the chair. And
All ballots turned in for chair? Okay, thank you. Not yet?
Alright. I got it. Okay, where are we putting these? Just here? Oh, sorry. I put
We're opening them up one at a time, so only vote on the chair right now. Okay, just in case, because I think there's some confusion out there. We did say that. Doing a chair at a time.
You did it. Can we write in Jack's name?
Okay, Chair, we have a result. Chair is Diana Velzi. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so now that we have a chair as Diana Velzi, so we're going to go to the first vice chair. Obviously, don't vote for Diana Velzi now for first vice chair. Okay, opening the did you want to call for?
We need to open the floor to see if there, right now we have Ramon Lopez, Pat Brown, Amanda, do you want to run for any other chair? Okay, what'd she say?
She said no, did she? Amanda?
Okay, so is there anybody else that wants to run for the first vice chair?
I think Amanda said no.
Nominate her anyways.
Can I nominate Amanda for first vice chair? Amanda, would you accept that?
Amanda, you've been nominated. Do you accept the nomination, Amanda, for the first vice chair?
Sure, I'll accept the nomination.
Thank you.
It's okay, Amanda's now back in the running for first vice chair.
Where am I?
Okay, Ramon. Amanda. Can Dave Ebbett come up to the front, please? Dave Ebbett.
Uh-oh, troublemaker.
They were recycling 95% of it. They told us, they had a big deal with it. We recycled 95% of all trash. What they did, that is exactly what they used to say. When they built the facility at Donuts. And they used to accept
Are all ballots turned in? Okay, so first vice chair is Amanda Muir.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, now we're gonna do the second vice chair. We're gonna open up the floor for any new nominations. Currently, we have Ramon Lopez and Pat Brown. Is there anybody else that would like to throw their name in the hat?
I want to nominate Chris Bissonette.
I'm going to decline, thank you.
Okay, how about Lisa? I'd like to nominate Lisa.
I second that nomination.
Amanda seconds it. Will you accept it?
Okay, so on the top of your ballot, there's 2 open columns on the right. They're blank, so you can put Lisa's name at the top there if you want to vote for Lisa, and then you can make that check mark.
Lynn nominates Jack. Jack, do you accept your nomination?
I will decline that nomination, thank you.
Okay. So now we're voting for the second vice chair. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna. Lisa just said she wants third vice chair, so I'll give her that.
I gave you the wrong one, but it's the right vote, just I think I gave you the wrong paper. Oh, yes. You have it already. I figured you could figure it out.
Make sure it's changed, because otherwise, if somebody does ask for a copy of the votes, they'll know what one it was voted for. Adam, make sure that it is changed to the correct chair.
Because the only one paper I have left is for fourth vice chair. And there's no third vice chair paper up.
We haven't started a third vice chair yet, have
And
we?
I have no third vice. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Do you have a second?
This is why I was confused.
Who's on first?
Guys, it was a late night last night.
Do we have all ballots turned in? All ballots in? Okay, second vice chair is Lisa Hewitt.
Yeah. I live on G Street. It's like an assembly line. I have parties and everyone must bring candy.
Okay, now we're going to, congratulations, Lisa. And now we're going to third vice chair. Currently on the books is Ramon Lopez and Pat Brown. And I'd like to open up the floor for any other nominations or anybody who wants to volunteer to run. Is there anybody here that is interested in throwing in their hat? I nominate Dave Ebbett. Do you accept that nomination? You will? Then the blue. Is Ramon here even? Yeah. Yeah, we did. But I was nominated for the fourth too, so.
For the four, right?
The city attorney will just laugh at us.
I refuse.
did signatures on 2 streets. Put it on the paper. He was the first. This is something to arrange streets. The other two, they said put signatures on all the streets that connect to it and the.
Make sure it's on your registration, you gotta put that one paper on the back side of the signature. Yeah, I was reading it.
Third vice chair is Ramon Lopez.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry. Okay, I missed who won that one.
Ramon Lopez.
Congratulations, Ramon. Okay, so now we're going to the fourth vice chair. Currently, we have Pat Brown on the list, and I'd like to nominate Dave Abbott as well. Is there anybody else that would like to run for the fourth vice chair? I'm opening up the floor for nominations. No?
Are we going with Dave Abbott?
I second Dave Abbott's nomination.
And he accepts, so, all right, so
So Pat Brown or Dave Abbott?
Pat Brown or Dave Abbott?
You need help.
Oh, thanks. No. Dude, thank you. Emmett. This is Pat Brown.
I know.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, this is Dave. This is Pat. Yeah, this is Pat. Put that one over there. Pat Brown. David.
Fourth vice chair is Dave Abbott.
Congratulations, Dave.
Congratulations, Dave.
Okay, so for the new executive board, I'd like to thank everybody I've worked with this year. It was a rough year, and you guys helped hold everything together, and I really appreciate all the work and help you gave during this year. And I welcome all the new executive board. But so you guys can get it, as the new executive board comes in January, you know that we meet on the second Wednesday of every month. And so as part of that, we're going to have 2 executive board meetings until the end of the year. One's next week, and then the second one is the following week after. And I'd like to invite you to attend one or both of them, so it kind of gives you an idea as to how the executive board kind of runs. So you're certainly welcome to come and attend, ask questions, give input, especially on the very last one, because we're going to be plotting our next agenda for next year. So I would love to have the new executive board attend. Okay, so thank you very much and congratulations. Okay, I've got my agenda all scribbled on here, so let's see if I can't find where we're at. Okay, item F, neighborhood chair reports. Neighborhood chairs may individually report on items of interest or concern to their neighborhoods. The INCO cannot enter into a detailed discussion or take action on any item presented during these reports. Okay, so go ahead. Chris, hand up first, go ahead.
Chris Bissonette, Blackstock South. We are going to have a meeting on 9 November at 6 p.m., and it's going to combine Blackstock North as well. We're going to have separate elections for both of those neighborhoods, so we're looking at a high turnout. Last month, I talked about speed humps on how long it took. We submitted 4 different streets. 2 of them were denied because they didn't meet the criteria, and the 2 others were approved. Now we've got to go out to each one of those roads and intersecting roads and collect signatures so that way we can get it endorsed. And they didn't use it as a majority, but a super majority. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it's about 70 to 75% you're going to probably need to be endorsed. That's 6-month process so far, so we got another 6 months before we probably even see it. So just want to let you know for all those individuals out there. So San Juan and Yucca are considered as approval once we get the signatures. San Simeon and La Cañada was disapproved.
Go ahead, Isaac. I got it right.
Hello, yeah, I'm Isaac Coliff, Chair of Seaview Estates. We're having a neighborhood council meeting on Monday, November 6th, this upcoming Monday. We've invited members of staff to speak about our Quimby funds and the park upgrades that will come with that. I know there are several neighborhoods in Oxnard that have Quimby fund balances, so if anybody is interested in that process, we're trying to get some answers and kick off that process. So stop on by. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Quickly, in my neighborhood, 5 Points Northeast, we're trying to get some land that the city owns for parks for the children, because we have all multi-family housing is the wide majority of it, and it's on the northeast side of town, and it's kind of a hole in the wall, so to speak, all by itself, and very little places to have parks. And so it's getting very frustrating trying to find a location where the kids can get to it safely and be there safely, and yet be in my neighborhood at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
John Ike, Bryce County North, Bryce County South, neighborhood meeting, October 18th. Quorum was not met, so we're trying to get in January, 3rd week of January.
Doug Talbert via Marina. Just on our last meeting, it's to bring up one of the contentious things I've been hearing from Roger Poirier is our inability to get more input into the use of our Quimby funds. At our last meeting, I had Bert Perillo and City Manager Alex Nugent. They agreed that we would, put together a committee, and as long as nothing's gone into effect, we can either scrap the plans and come up with our own or modify them. I got that in the minutes. I had a quorum. So any of you who are having that issue, I think we kind of broke major ground. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Hello, Ron Arwejo, East Village. We'll be having an election meeting Monday, November 13th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Go ahead, Sophia.
Sophia Vega from Southwinds Neighborhood Council. We are having our neighborhood meeting tomorrow, Thursday at Haycock, starting at 6 p.m. We'll have our regular neighborhood report, followed by Lorena Huereca, who is from Vista Real Charter High School. They're having an event where everyone is welcome. And it's focused on providing services to the community as well as immediate services. Then as we are nearing Thanksgiving, they'll be giving out some goodies there. And we'll also have our council member, Mr. Valenzuela. And we have the status on Del Playa Inn as expressed by the housing director, Mr. Ramirez. And along with that, the Port of Hueneme will be co-hosting an altar, un altar del Día de los Muertos mañana. So we'll have sweetbread, champurrado, tamales, candies if you want to stop by. 5400 Perkins Road, that's Haycock's Cafeteria. And we'll have the three different varieties of tamales. So if you haven't tried them, we'll have the pork, the chicken, and the cheese tamal. So if you happen to be free and would like to stop by tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
Or Paul's.
Oh, Paul, I'm sorry.
All right, no problem. Paul Schnabel, River Park. As we mentioned a little bit earlier in the meeting, we had folks from Environmental Services come over and talk about recycling. Also, they talked about gave us an update on the street sweeping trial and got some interesting information on that. Our next meeting will be indoors for the first time in about 6 months over at Rio Vista Middle School on December 6th. Topic TBD, and we'll let you know as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack? Oh, good. All right, Pat?
Future agenda items about the.
We're not there, Pat, we're not there yet.
okay.
We're doing neighborhood chair reports.
Okay.
We'll get to you in a minute then.
Just a thought. I'm involved with the Aviation Museum at Camarillo Airport. I'm there 3 days a week.
Pat,
and I
Pat,
have some
you
suggestions.
gotta come back. All right, talk
Okay.
about it when we open up
I
that.
do have some suggestions
Okay.
when they want them.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Jack Villa, Hobson Park East, Saturday, November 4th, 11 o'clock. We'll be having a neighborhood meeting and an election. And that's about it.
Thank you, Jack. I have a meeting on November 14th. We're still confirming, though, if the building's going to be available to us, but we're planning on having our election meeting on the 14th. And so everybody's invited. Thank you. That's it for me. Anybody else? No? Okay, so let's move on then. Okay, we are on, where are we? Executive Board reports. The Executive Board may individually report on items of interest or concerns. The INCO cannot enter into a detailed discussion or take action on any item presented during these reports. No? Okay.
Yes, Mar Vista will be having, should we talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mar Vista will be having an election, possibly a new neighborhood council, and that will be on November 14th, I believe. I think that's right. November 14th, Mar Vista will be having an election. There's something else. About the Quimby funds, congratulations to Villa Marina and getting something started as far as Quimby funds. I'll be stepping down, but I hope the neighborhoods, all the neighborhoods, can put a little bit more pressure on the city as far as using their Quimby funds. Some neighborhoods have had their Quimby funds for about 15 years, and it's very frustrating to see something like Amazon put up their facility up in 6 months, but the city can't put up a playground, and it takes years before they get a playground or lights up. But I hope this body continues to put pressure on the city as far as finding some way to use those funds. That's $10 million at least, and I'm with all the new developments, it might be doubled. So in the future Quimby funds, I'd hate to see them be used 20 years from now, I won't be able to see those monies be fulfilled if it takes 20 years to get those monies used. And I hope this body will put pressure on our city council to devise some way to use all these Quimby funds that are available. It's an immediate impact in the neighborhood, and it's not like a project that's going to take, 10 years, 15 years down the road. This is immediate. They'll see it right in their park, new amenities. But I don't know. We've had I don't want to blame the staff, the city staff, the present city staff, but it's been going on for a long, long, long time. And I hope this body will work towards getting those money used to see that immediate results. That's all I have.
You have anything, Chris? Okay, just one thing that I'd like to remind everybody. A friend of mine that lives in South Bank had a recent event that included a coyote in her backyard. Just to remind everybody, bring your animals in at night. They're not even really safe in your backyard. A coyote can jump a fence that's 6 foot tall. And it's something that I of course near and dear. This is exactly a neighborhood chair report, but it's something that's important, and I think it needs to be said. Just every neighborhood, get the word out. Coyotes, especially since the new apartment complexes have gone in, that they're losing their homes in their wild areas because of all these apartment buildings going in, and not only in our city, but also over there by, the old Toys R Us. And these coyotes are moving in, and they will jump your fence. She went out to water her yard and heard a growl, and the coyote was in her backyard and it was closed up. So they jumped the fence to get a squirrel. So take your cats and dogs, even your stray cats, find a way to protect them if you can. And that's it for me. Okay, so that's it. So let's move on to future agenda items. Pat, you said you had some future agenda items that you wanted to talk about?
I just wanted to, I can't hear who you're waving at. Did you want me to say something now or not?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have a hearing problem, but it's not one that they could do anything about it. So that's the way it goes. I've already been tested a number of times. Okay. One thing that you can do, if you're building housing near an airport, and this actually works. I'm an example of what it's all about. What you do is, when you build the homes, you have extra insulation in the outside walls, and all the insulation you can get on the roof, below the shingles and the platform, wood platforms. If you do that good enough, you won't hear any airplanes at all. Nothing. You will hear nothing outside. And I know because I did it. I had it done, and it works. I could hear everything before. Now I hear nothing. Just a suggestion.
Thank you, Pat. Anybody else with the future agenda items recommendations?
I just want to comment on your, the soundproofing. Just to let you know, I just want to let you know that the funds to pay for that are available out of the airport general fund, and there's about almost $20 million in there. And those funds are, they're earmarked for certain things. They can only spend it, but the only thing that they're allowed to spend them outside that airport is on noise mitigation, so they're allowed to do that. So if, you know, people want to sound, yes, they've done that with LAX and they've done it down in San Diego. And money for that comes straight from the FAA.
Okay, is there anybody else? Anybody online that would like to? Okay. Anybody else? Is that it? Okay, with that, without any further new, did you have something, Carlos? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, without any new further business, I adjourn the meeting. I gotta talk to you.
Second.